In September 2003, 4 meters beneath the floor of this remote cave in Indonesia, a scientific team uncovered something that should never have existed. The skull belonged to a fully grown adult, yet its brain was no larger than 1/3 the size of a modern human brain. Its limbs were built for upright walking, but its height barely exceeded 1 meter. This fossil did not belong to an ape, nor did it belong to a modern human with a genetic deformity. It was forensic evidence that, until remarkably recently, we were not the only human species walking this earth. Here on the island of Flores, another human species lived alongside 2-meter-tall giant storks and predatory Komodo dragons. Scientists named it Homo Floresiensis, known unofficially as the Hobbit. But the real story does not begin with their discovery. It begins with the terrifying way they vanished. This is not a search for ancient fossils. It is a forensic investigation into a mysterious extinction case that remains unsolved. Before we dive into this investigation, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this episode. Your support helps us continue bringing you more stories like this. Flores Island isolated itself from the rest of the world behind deep ocean trenches that could not be crossed by swimming. Around 800,000 years ago, a group of early humans reached this land. No one knows how they crossed the water, but once they arrived, the geographic prison closed its doors behind them. The islands are governed by a harsh biological phenomenon known in evolutionary science as the island rule. When organisms are confined to a limited space with scarce food resources, an inevitable anatomical transformation takes place. Large animals become smaller to reduce their energy consumption, while small animals grow larger in the absence of predators. The Indonesian elephant dwindled in size until it was no larger than a domestic pig. Rats grew until they reached the size of cats, and the humans trapped here, they shrank. Over hundreds of thousands of years, their bodies grew smaller. Their brains became reduced in size. They developed disproportionately long feet and powerful arms adapted for climbing. Evolution had created a unique anatomical blueprint, one the Earth had never seen before. Although the brain of Homo floresiensis was comparable in size to that of a chimpanzee, the physical evidence at the scene of the ancient struggle rejects the primitive hypothesis. The forensic evidence inside the cave reveals the following: stone tools with razor-sharp edges, sophisticated in manufacture, designed to cut flesh and separate bone. Charred bones of dwarf elephants confirm the regular use of fire to process and cook food. Consistent cut marks on the bones of prey indicate organized, coordinated hunting strategies. These diminutive humans were not primitive creatures struggling merely to survive. They were masters of this harsh environment for at least 50,000 years. They hunted in groups, crafted weapons, and controlled fire. But the geological timeline holds a devastating surprise. In the sediment layers dating back roughly 50,000 years, every trace suddenly stops. The stone tools change completely in form. The bones of the diminutive humans disappear entirely. The remains of the dwarf elephant cease as well. Something erased this entire presence in the blink of a geological eye. Dating the glassy layers and volcanic ash has rewritten the timeline of the event. Within the same time window in which the Hobbits disappeared, around 50,000 years ago, the geological record documents the arrival of a new suspect in the region, Homo sapiens, us. Modern humans reached Flores carrying longer-range weapons, bodies roughly twice as large, and vastly greater nutritional demands. The anatomical evidence is clear. The diminutive humans could not compete directly for the same resources. In an enclosed island environment, there was nowhere to escape. The arrival of a new apex predator meant the end for the old one. Did we eliminate them in a brutal struggle over resources? Or did we bring diseases and epidemics to which their small bodies had no immunity. The evidence shows no traces of weapon-related trauma on the recovered bones, leaving the first possibility unresolved, and pointing toward another scenario no less brutal: targeted starvation and biological exclusion. At the same time, a massive volcanic eruption tore through the island, blanketing the region beneath a thick layer of ash and delivering the final blow to a double environmental catastrophe. But the investigation does not end with the volcanic fossils. The local Ngada people of Flores preserve oral traditions passed down through generations for hundreds of years. Stories of creatures known as the Ebu Gogo, a name that literally means the grandmother who eats everything. The villagers describe these creatures with remarkable precision, no more than a meter tall, covered in hair, with long arms, and a language consisting of rapid guttural mutterings. According to local tradition, these beings lived in caves and stole crops until they were either exterminated or driven deep into the volcanic forests just a few centuries ago. Could Homo floresiensis have survived deep within unexplored forests until relatively recent times? Modern science rejects oral accounts without tangible genetic evidence. Yet the striking correspondence between the traditional descriptions and the fossil anatomy discovered centuries later remains a mystery that defies any simple explanation. The bones of Homo floresiensis now rest in analytical trays beneath the microscope. They remind us of a harsh truth we have forgotten for far too long. For most of human history, we were not alone. This planet was once home to multiple human species. Different minds, different bodies, each shaped by evolution in its own unique way. We are not the inevitable or singular outcome of human intelligence. We are simply the lineage that remained. The Flores hobbits disappeared, leaving behind their silent evidence beneath layers of clay and volcanic ash. Fossil proof that our dominance of this earth may have been nothing more than a matter of ecological chance.